welcome back to the OKGOP sponsored CD-5 candidate debate. We apologize about those audio issues. We got it fixed. We'd like to thank the team, Mac and Zoe, who got it fixed. Also Chairman McLain for setting down Adam here to make sure we got everything good on our way. So my name is Joshua Shultz. I am the OKFCR Secretary and CD-5 Chairman for the OKFCR. This is hosted by the Oklahoma Federation of College Republicans. We'd like to thank the OKGOP and the OKGOP Chairman, David McLain, OKGOP CD-5 Chairman, Dwayne McAnally, and his Vice Chairwoman, Linda Huggard. On behalf of the Oklahoma College Republicans, we thank you for being here. Thank you for staying with us and hopping back on after we got everything fixed. Chairman, would you like to do a prayer and opening statement?
Sure. We'll just begin with the opening statement. We've already done the prayer. I just want to thank the candidates who took the time out of their busy schedules to do this evening. Our college Republicans are doing an absolute wonderful job. I don't know if all of you know, the college Republicans have moved into our headquarters. They have set up office. They are absolutely doing a great job. And here's what they're doing. They're expanding chapters across the colleges and universities right now. We're expanding from 9 to 25. We're putting the boots on the ground and we're making the investment into these young people because this is the future of our party. And I want to thank every one of you who came in tonight to do this and support these college Republicans. This is a huge thing for these college Republicans. They work very diligently to get this done, and I want to thank them for doing it. I wanted to let you know, Terry Neese phoned me and let me know that she was really wanting to be here tonight, but she had a urgent situation that came up and she was not able to make it. But with that said, you guys are absolutely doing a wonderful job over in the 5th. Looking forward to getting through this phase of the race, and I know no one's looking more forward to it than each one of you individually. I know the sweat and pain of campaign. I know the frustrations of signs being torn down. I know the frustration of all of it, but I promise you this, it'll be worth it to you. Anyway, with that said, Mac Savala is the chairman of the college Republicans, and Mac has absolutely stepped up, and his team has stepped up. And so I just can't say enough about these young people purposing to put this together. And I'll tell you, Chairman McNally and Linda Huggard have been a wonderful support for these college Republicans, and they've been heavily involved in all of this that's taking place even in here this evening. So I want to thank them too. They are very, very special people. Anyway, with that said, I'm going to turn this back over. God bless all of you. And I would say good luck, but I don't believe in luck. So blessings.
All right, thank you, Chairman. We appreciate those kind words. So before we begin, we want to go over the rules again for the debate. All candidates have received the rules and should be familiar with them, but we're going to go over them again for y'all and for everyone watching. So rule number 1, each candidate will have an opening and closing statement up to but no greater than 120 seconds, so that's 2 minutes. Each candidate will be asked all the questions will be asked to each of the candidates. Candidates will have 60 seconds to answer the question. Candidates will be allowed to finish their thought after time is up, but will not be allowed to start a new one. So, we'll let you finish your sentence. We're not going to be rude to you, but, you can't just continue and start talking about something else. If a candidate is mentioned in another candidate's response, the candidate will be given 30 seconds to respond. We reserve the right to mute any candidate. We encourage debate, but arguments will not be tolerated. So those are the rules. So let's begin. All candidates have been invited to participate and emailed with the instructions to join. The candidates that joined us today are Michael Ballard, Janet Barresi, David Hill, Shelli Landon, Jake Merrick, Charles Pringle, and Miles Rahimi. Michael Ballard, since your name is listed first in alphabetical order, you will begin with your opening statement.
Yes, my name is Michael Ballard. For those of you that don't know who I am a retired Army combat veteran I retired back in May of 2010. A little bit about me. I'm married to a wonderful lady, Lori. I've known her since the 80s. We got 2 grown children out of the house and a handful of grandchildren. Our youngest grandchild was just born back in January. My wife's going to kill me on that one. And he's 5 months old. And while I'm holding my new grandson, I'm thinking to myself, how in the world can we live in a society where one party is for killing babies and, abortions? Let's just be honest, it's killing babies. And it's bad enough to kill a baby in the womb, but now you got the Democrat, the Socialist Party, that's calling for killing the baby after they're born. That's just one of the reasons why I'm running. I was also an honor graduate in my basic training as well as my AIT school, which was field artillery. And the main reason why I'm in this is because I always thought that when I retired from the Army that I would make up lost family time, go fishing and travel and just enjoy life. And with what's going on in our nation today, with socialism on the march and President Trump needing allies and the 5th District needing real representation, that's the reason why I've jumped in this race, is to defend my nation, our Constitution, my family, and everyone else's family.
That's great,
I
Michael.
don't know how
Thank you for
close
that
I am to 2 minutes, but
You're good. So next up is Janet Barresi.
First of all, thank you so much to the College Republicans for putting this together tonight. We know how hard you worked on this, and we're grateful you're part of the Republican Party. You know, through the decades of my life, I've had so many different experiences that have brought me to where I am today. Some of those times have been hard, some have been joyful, and some have been tragic indeed. But through them all, they come together to put me where I am today and give me the experiences that I had. As Oklahoma State Superintendent of Schools, I managed multi-billion-dollar budgets. I cut red tape. I went up against the liberal education establishment, and I stood in the gap for Oklahoma kids. As a dentist, I owned a small business for 24 years. So I understand the challenges of small business, and I also understand the challenges and the importance of the doctor-patient relationship. And our family's been in the oil and gas industry for over 40 years. So I very much understand the importance that we stay energy independent and revive this industry for Oklahomans. But my favorite job is that as a mom and a Mimi. And Mimi is very concerned about the direction of this country. You know, never did any of us dream that a virus would invade our shores and take the lives of so many and devastate our economy. When I first declared for office, I was going to focus on the debt and the deficit, on saving the life of the unborn, on standing with President Trump to build the wall and build our military and protect Second Amendment rights. You know, I don't need this job, but I want this job. I don't want to build a career in Washington or make friends with a lot of politicos. I want to represent you. I want to serve you. I am in this fight because I know that to have appropriate representation in the 5th District, we need somebody that is experienced, tough, and ready. And I am that person, and I'm ready to go.
Thank you, Janet. We appreciate that. And thank you for being on our call. Next up is David Hill.
Hi, I'm David Hill. Thank you so much for putting on this debate. And I want to congratulate the other candidates who were able to make it. And I want to thank everybody who's joined us. And thank you for waiting. I was standing in my backyard over a year ago, and a friend of mine called me and asked me if I had thought about running against Kendra Horn. And I said, no, absolutely not. I hadn't thought about it at all. And he began to describe to me just what Kendra Horn had done. And I'm sure those of you that are involved in politics and keep up with these things know at the time, I really didn't know exactly what she'd done. I didn't know she'd gone and joined the squad and voted with AOC 94% of the time at that time, and more even than she voted with Nancy Pelosi. But I knew that our manufacturers and our businesses in America needed help. And I knew that because I've been in manufacturing my whole life. I've been manufacturing here in America with American raw materials, steel, stainless, and aluminum, and I've been competing with China. And I knew that our manufacturers needed help, and I knew that they'd had a tough time. And then the coronavirus hit, and we saw how devastating it was, but we learned just how many of our essential things were being made in China and how we were being held captive, really, by China. Did you know that all the lead is smelted in China now? So we can't even make bullets without China for our military or for our people that appreciate the Second Amendment. So after giving all of my 6 kids, my wonderful children, and my wife full veto power, we jumped into this race. I've been shocked and humbled at how excited people are about an outsider businessman like me running for Congress and wanting to go represent our people in Congress. You know, this is not something that I've aspired after in my life. This is not something I've looked for, but I want to do it. I want to do it for you. I want to go fight for America. And I know how to build jobs. I know how to rebuild manufacturing, and I'd ask for your vote and your support.
Thank you, David. We appreciate that, and thank you for being with us. Next up is Shelli Landon.
Am I on? Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. Wave at me if you can hear me. Okay, hi. I'm Shelli Landon, and I am a veteran's widow. Now I've remarried. I was a widow for 6 years, decorated veteran. I am an education major with a PhD in education. I taught at Oral Roberts University and designed curriculum. I have been an artist and been blessed to be in world-class art exhibits. I am a recording artist, so that has taken me to the halls of Congress and around the world singing for leaders of nations, which gave me a wonderful opportunity to study with Shulamit Katz-Nelson, whose family were the original founders of the brand new Life of Israel. And she came in runner-up for the Nobel Prize. So that put me in diplomatic relations and some that pertain to our oil industry, giving me an overview. Then also I am an education major in history as well. And my late husband was David Manuel, who wrote The Light and the Glory with Peter Marshall. That was the all-time bestseller in American history. He was a double-A editor and wrote that. And I was their junior writer on the Crimson Cross series. And that has become a mainstay, both books, both series, an anchor to the homeschoolers of America. I would like to see everything pulled out of the archives of the Library of Congress and pushed back into the mainstream of everyday public school education and our political science classes with it. I'm also pro-life. Mildred Jefferson, who started the pro-life movement, the first Afro-American to graduate from Harvard Medical School, was a dear friend and mentor of mine. She introduced me to Norman McCorvey, of whom the Roe versus Wade cases were based upon, and she was saved after that. And I've had wonderful opportunities to understand all the ins and outs of pro-life and how the entire movement should work. Her Lifetime Achievement Award is hanging in my office. I also put a bill together, starting in 2014, that preserved our stars.
So we're getting a little over time, but you'll be able to answer that later on. Okay. Next up is Jake Merrick.
Make sure that I'm unmuted. Can you hear me okay? I'm guessing you can. So I want to first thank you, Joshua and Jonathan and Mac, for putting this on. I really appreciate this. And you guys represent the best in the next generation of Republicans. So I really appreciate you and I'm praying for you guys. My name is Jake Merrick, and I am the proud husband of a strong woman and the father of 2 beautiful girls. I'm a man of faith. I'm a former pastor and philosophy professor, theology professor. I come from a Western background, agricultural background. And so I have a heart for the rural community, but I've spent a lot of time in big cities in Dallas and got my education there at Dallas Baptist University and Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary in Fort Worth. And I understand that there's a lot of needs and concerns right now in America. There's a lot of conflicting ideals and worldviews. And at the core of our issue right now, that's exactly what it is. It's a clash of worldviews. And this is why I'm in this race, because I believe a lot needs to be done. I believe we need to end abortion. I believe we need to secure the border. I believe we need to have tax reform and healthcare reform, and I've got plans for those. But at the most fundamental level, we need to restore our confidence in our Constitution. We don't need to develop a whole host of new laws. What we need to do is return to the laws that started this country and made it great. So I'm in this race to remind people of where we came from and help us get back to there. I'm with our president. We need to keep America great. It's still the greatest country in the world, and it's my mission to jump on board and to do my part to keep America great.
That's awesome, Jake. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Next up is Charles Pringle.
Yes. Thanks, Josh and Mike, for holding this. I really appreciate it. First of all, I'd like to give a little credit to a lady that I love very dearly. My wife, her name is Lauren. Previous name was Hooker, Lauren Hooker, and she has 2 children in California, and she is the lifeblood of me. I love her dearly, and I would be lost without her. And she is generous and kind, and she does things for people, and I just can't give her enough accolades. But I'd like to say something. I spent 60 years in California fighting politicians. I know how to fight politicians. Now, in California, I had to fight politicians in my business, which was land planning, building, subdividing property. And I had to make the county live by their rules. And I sued Contra Costa County 5 times. I won 4 of those cases. And so you have to be tough with those people. Now, the thing is, in the 60s, they came up with this, well, politically correct. In other words, you can't really say what you want to, what you're believing. You've got to be politically correct. Now, that went on, and it was just one little way of taking away our rights. Now, in the 90s, when Bill Clinton was president, the FBI, whoever it was, went up to Ruby Ridge in Idaho, and they killed a man's wife, and they killed his son, and they killed his son's dog. And then later, they came down to Waco and destroyed a church. Now, whether we agree with what that man was doing at that church, it makes no difference.
We're going over time a little bit. So anything that you
already?
Yeah, 2 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
And you have a closing statement. So anything else you needed to say that you wanted to finish, go ahead and say it at your closing statement.
Okay. Well, anyway, there's been 2 attacks on
we're going to have to move on to Miles Rahimi.
With President Trump, they've attacked 4 or 5 of his people. They went into him.
Go ahead, Miles.
Hi, Josh. Thank you so much for moderating this. It's nice to be here. My name is Miles Rahimi. I'm an America First conservative. For the last 8 years, I served our nation's military and the Navy as a non-commissioned officer. I've returned home to where I grew up in Oklahoma to continue fighting for this country by representing you in Congress. The time for timidity and half measures has passed. We can't win with the same old GOP playbook that hasn't changed since the 1990s. If you send me to Washington, I will fight for bold solutions. One of those bold solutions is an immigration moratorium. In the midst of this global pandemic, skyrocketing unemployment, a broken border, it's time for us to put a pause on immigration to this country until we develop a new system that puts Americans and America first. I'd also like to introduce the Fair Play for Women Act. It's going to deny federal funding to any university that gives Title IX money to any type of facility that allows biological men to invade women's spaces. It prevents any requirements also that the women's shelters put in place to support our sisters, daughters, and mothers admit biological men. Another bold action I'm going to take is the introduction of a gun safety tax deduction to reduce the cost of what I spend at the firearm range on ammunition and renting the lane. So instead of having it to where we just say we're going to support the Second Amendment, we're going to champion it to incentivize gun owners. It's time to go on the offensive. If you want someone to go to Washington and make friends, to get along, just to get along, vote for one of my opponents. But if you want someone to go to DC to throw elbows and flip tables, I'm your candidate.